A willow branch snaps in a storm. It tumbles into muddy water along a riverbank. No one plants it, no one tends it, and yet, within days, white roots begin pushing out from the broken end. A brand new tree starts to grow from nothing but a discarded twig. That is not a fairy tale. That is biochemistry. And what happens inside that broken willow branch holds the key to one of the most powerful seed-starting secrets in all of gardening. Welcome to Rooted in Grace. Today, this video is going to change the way seeds get planted, possibly forever. Here is the truth that most gardeners over 50 have learned the hard way. Seeds get carefully tucked into the soil, watered with love, watched over day after day, and then nothing. Bare dirt. Or worse, tiny seedlings push through, only to collapse overnight from some invisible disease lurking in the soil. It is heartbreaking, and it is completely avoidable. There is a simple, three-part soaking method, using 3 ordinary items most people already have at home, that can produce root growth up to 3 times faster and harvests up to 5 times larger. No expensive chemicals, no laboratory products, just 3 things that nature and the medicine cabinet already provide. Commercial nurseries know about this. They have known for decades, but they would rather sell synthetic rooting hormones in tiny, overpriced bottles than share what a willow tree gives away for free. By the end of this video, every gardener watching will have the exact step-by-step recipe. But first, it is important to understand why this works, because once the science clicks, it never gets forgotten. Stay until the very end. The final step, the one ingredient that wakes a sleeping seed up in 24 hours, is the one almost nobody talks about. Part 1. The first secret. The miracle hiding in every willow tree. Here is a question that most gardeners have never stopped to ask. Why does the willow tree root so easily? Snap a branch off a maple, an oak, or a pine, and it dies. Toss it in water, and it rots. But snap a branch off a weeping willow, drop it in a puddle of mud, and it starts growing roots almost immediately. It does not need rooting powder. It does not need fertilizer. Something inside that branch already has everything it needs. What is it? The answer is a natural plant hormone called indole 3-butyric acid, IBA for short. The willow tree produces enormous amounts of it, especially in its young, green tips and just beneath the bark in the thin cambium layer. IBA is the exact same compound that commercial nurseries manufacture in laboratories, package in small plastic containers, and sell as rooting hormone for $8, $10, sometimes $15 a bottle. But the willow makes it for free. It makes it constantly, and it has been making it for millions of years. Here is the part that many experienced gardeners do not know. When young willow branches, green or yellow, harvested in early spring just as the buds begin to swell, are cut into small pieces, gently crushed and soaked in water for 48 to 72 hours, the IBA leaches out. The water turns a rich, golden brown, and that liquid, known in traditional horticulture as willow water, becomes a natural rooting hormone as effective as anything sold in a garden center. This is not some new internet trend. Willow water is one of the oldest recorded techniques in the history of plant propagation. Gardeners were using it long before anyone had ever heard the word hormone, long before plastic bottles existed, long before commercial nurseries even existed. And yet, somehow, this ancient method has been quietly pushed aside, replaced by synthetic products that cost money and come wrapped in marketing. The willow teaches something beyond gardening, too. It teaches resilience. A branch breaks off, hits the ground, and instead of giving up, it puts down new roots right where it fell. That is not a bad lesson for anyone, at any age. But here is the thing. Roots alone are not enough. A seed can sprout the most beautiful root system in the world and still die within days if the soil is full of disease, which is exactly why there is a second ingredient, and it has been hiding in plain sight, right inside the medicine cabinet. Part 2. The second secret. The common pill that acts like a plant vaccine. Reach into almost any bathroom cabinet in the world, and there it is. A small, white, uncoated tablet that costs a few pennies. Aspirin. Most people take it for a headache. Some take it for heart health. But almost nobody knows that this humble little pill is one of the most powerful plant defense activators ever discovered by modern science. To understand why, it helps to know where aspirin actually came from. And the answer is surprising, because it loops right back to the willow tree. Long before the Bayer Company created modern aspirin in 1897, ancient civilizations already knew about the healing power of willow bark. The Sumerians recorded it on clay tablets thousands of years ago. Indigenous peoples across North America brewed willow bark teas to reduce fever and ease pain. What they did not know, what science would not discover until much later, was that willow bark contains a compound called salicin, which the body converts into salicylic acid. Eventually, chemists refined this into acetylsalicylic acid, the active ingredient in every aspirin tablet on the shelf today. So the same tree that gives natural rooting hormone also inspired humanity's most universal medicine. That is not a coincidence. That is nature being extraordinarily efficient. Now, here is where it gets truly remarkable for gardeners. When aspirin dissolves in water, and that water reaches a seed or a plant, the acetylsalicylic acid breaks down into salicylic acid. And salicylic acid triggers something inside the plant called systemic acquired resistance, SAR. Think of it as a vaccination, not against a human disease, but against plant diseases. The salicylic acid enters the plant's cells and switches on defense genes. The entire plant goes on high alert. It starts producing protective proteins. Its cell walls thicken. Its immune system revs up to full power before any disease has even arrived. Why does this matter so much for seeds? Because the soil is not the gentle, nurturing place most people imagine. The moment a seed absorbs water and its coat softens, it becomes a target. Soil-borne fungi, bacteria, and pathogens are waiting. Damping off, that devastating condition where seedlings suddenly collapse at the soil line, kills more young plants than most gardeners realize. It is the #1 reason seeds fail. And most people blame themselves, thinking they watered too much or planted too deep. The real problem is often invisible: disease in the soil. A seed soaked in aspirin water has its defenses already activated before it even goes into the ground. Research has shown that this primed immune state is remarkably effective against serious diseases like verticillium wilt and fusarium wilt, two of the most destructive soil pathogens in home gardens. Studies on wheat, tomatoes, and other crops have demonstrated that aspirin-treated seeds produce taller plants, stronger stems, and significantly higher yields. Here is the mistake almost everyone makes, though. They hear aspirin and they think more is better. It is not. One regular strength tablet, 325 milligrams per gallon of water is the safe, effective dose. More than that can actually burn the seeds. This is the kind of detail that makes the difference between spectacular results and disappointment. There is something almost poetic about the way this works. The aspirin creates a gentle, simulated stress, just enough to trick the plant into thinking it is under attack. And that mild stress is exactly what triggers the plant to build itself up stronger, tougher, and more resilient than it would have been otherwise. A seed that faces no challenge stays weak. A seed that is gently primed grows up ready for anything. But even with strong roots from the willow and a primed immune system from the aspirin, there is still one problem left to solve. The most common problem of all, and the one almost nobody talks about. The seed is still asleep. Part 3. The third secret. The spark that wakes a sleeping seed. Every seed is a living thing in suspended animation. It is alive but dormant, waiting, locked in a deep biochemical sleep by a hormone called abscisic acid, ABA. As long as ABA is in charge, that seed will not germinate. It could sit in perfect soil, at perfect temperature, with perfect moisture, and still refuse to sprout. The lock is internal. This is why some gardeners plant a whole row of seeds and only half of them come up. The seeds are not dead, they are just still asleep. And no amount of watering or sunshine can force them awake if the internal chemistry is not ready. So what is the key that unlocks dormancy? It is sitting right next to the aspirin in the medicine cabinet, the brown bottle. 3% hydrogen peroxide. Most people think of hydrogen peroxide as a wound disinfectant, something for scrubbed knees and minor cuts. But in the world of plant physiology, hydrogen peroxide is a critical signaling molecule. When a diluted solution of H2O2 enters a dormant seed, it does something extraordinary. It sends an oxidative signal that rapidly breaks down the sleep hormone ABA and triggers the production of gibberellic acid, GA, the hormone of germination. In simple terms, hydrogen peroxide flips the switch from sleep to grow. But it does not stop there. Once the wake-up signal fires, the hydrogen peroxide activates metabolic enzymes, particularly one called alpha amylase, that break down the seed's stored starches into usable sugars. This gives the embryo an immediate burst of energy. The radical, the very first tiny root, pushes out faster and stronger than it would on its own. The research on this is striking. In controlled studies, pea seeds treated with a carefully diluted hydrogen peroxide solution achieved a 75% germination rate within just 24 hours. Seeds soaked in plain water during the same period showed almost no germination at all. 24 hours. That is not a slight improvement. That is a transformation. Now, here is an important detail, the kind of thing that separates gardeners who get amazing results from those who get mediocre ones. The dose matters enormously. Hydrogen peroxide in high concentrations is a strong oxidizer. It can damage cells. It can kill seeds outright. But at a precise, low dose, 1 to 2 tablespoons of standard 3% hydrogen peroxide per gallon of water, it provides exactly the right amount of oxidative stress to trigger germination without causing harm. Think of it like a morning alarm clock, gentle enough to wake someone up, not so harsh that it causes panic. The seed wakes, the root pushes out, and if that seed has been soaking in the right solution, it encounters something remarkable waiting for it on the other side. Part 4. The Master Protocol. Bringing all three together. Individually, each of these ingredients is powerful. Willow water provides natural rooting hormones. Aspirin primes the immune system. Hydrogen peroxide breaks dormancy and jumpstarts metabolism. But when all three are combined into a single soaking solution, something extraordinary happens. They create a synergy, what experienced horticulturalists call a triple threat priming protocol, that addresses every major challenge a seed faces at once: stimulation, protection, and activation, all in one overnight soak. Here is the exact method. Step 1. Prepare the willow water. In early spring, collect 10 to 15 young, green or yellow willow branches, the new growth, not old, woody stems. Cut them into 1-inch pieces. Crush them lightly with a mallet or the back of a heavy knife. The goal is to break the bark open and expose the inner cambium layer, where the IBA is most concentrated. Place the crushed pieces in a large container. A bucket or a glass jar works perfectly. Add water at a ratio of roughly 4 parts water to 1 part willow material. Let this steep at room temperature for 48 to 72 hours. The water should gradually turn a warm, tea-like golden brown color. Strain out the twigs. What remains is a potent, natural rooting hormone solution. One note that many guides leave out: use room temperature water, not boiling water. Boiling can destroy the IBA. Patience works better than heat. Step 2. Add the aspirin. Take 1 gallon of the freshly made willow water. Drop in exactly 1 standard 325 milligram uncoated aspirin tablet. Let it dissolve completely. Stir gently. Uncoated is important. Enteric-coated or gel-coated aspirin tablets have a waxy layer designed to survive stomach acid, and that same coating prevents proper dissolution in water. Plain, uncoated, generic aspirin is the only kind that works here. Step 3. Add the hydrogen peroxide. Pour 1 to 2 tablespoons of standard 3% hydrogen peroxide into the gallon of aspirin-infused willow water. Stir gently. Do not use higher concentrations. The 3% solution sold at every pharmacy and grocery store is exactly what is needed. Stronger solutions, the kind sold as food grade at 35%, are dangerously concentrated for this purpose and will kill seeds on contact. Step 4. Soak the seeds. Place the seeds, tomatoes, peppers, beans, squash, flowers, herbs, whatever is being planted this season, into the master priming solution. Let them soak for 12 to 24 hours before planting. That is it. 12 to 24 hours. One single overnight soak. What happens inside the seed during that soak is a cascade of biological events. The hydrogen peroxide penetrates the seed coat first, breaking down the dormancy hormone and firing up the metabolic engines. As the seed swells and the first root tip begins to emerge, it is immediately bathed in the IBA and IAA auxins from the willow water, hormones that command root cells to divide rapidly, creating a root system up to 3 times larger and faster than untreated seeds produce. Meanwhile, the salicylic acid from the aspirin is being absorbed into the plant cells, activating defense genes and erecting an immune shield against soil-borne diseases before the seed even touches the dirt. The result? Plants that establish themselves remarkably fast. Because they have a massive root system from day one, they absorb water and nutrients with dramatic efficiency. Because their immune systems are already primed, they do not waste energy fighting off infection during the critical first weeks. They put everything into growth. Thick stems, lush foliage, and ultimately, harvests that can be exponentially larger than seeds planted dry into cold soil. Experienced growers who use this protocol report harvests up to 5 times bigger. Not because of magic, because of science. The right chemistry at the right time in the right dose. 3 ingredients. 1 overnight soak. Willow water for roots. Aspirin for immunity. Hydrogen peroxide for the spark of life. None of them expensive. None of them hard to find. None of them requiring a chemistry degree or a trip to a specialty garden store. Everything needed for stronger, faster, healthier seeds has been growing quietly along riverbanks and sitting in simple home medicine cabinets all along. The commercial garden industry would prefer that remain a secret, but nature has never been very good at keeping its best ideas locked away. This spring, before a single seed goes into the ground, give it 1 night in this solution. Watch what happens, and then come back to the comments and share the results. Because a discovery this good should never stay with just one gardener. Thank you for watching Rooted in Grace. If this video taught something new today, that subscribe button and a quick share with a gardening friend would mean the world to this channel. Until next time, may every seed planted this season find deep roots, strong defenses, and the perfect spark to grow.